There is a flower on your windowsill. You see a flower. A bee sees a runway. The yellow you call beautiful is, to her, only the dull outer edge of a target whose center glows in a color you have no name for. She is not seeing more than you. She is seeing differently, and the difference matters more than you think. Right now, on this planet, a shark is hunting a heartbeat buried under 6 inches of sand. A snake is striking, in total darkness, at a body it has never seen. A bird is flying south across a continent, reading the magnetic lines of the Earth as if they were drawn in light. You think you are seeing the world. You are seeing one slice of it. Tonight, we are going to step inside the eyes of other creatures. We are going to walk through the senses you do not have, and by the time we are finished, the world outside your window will not look the way it did this morning. This is Cosmic Canvas. Begin with light. What you call light is a sliver, a narrow band of electromagnetic radiation between 380 and 700 nanometers, wavelengths your particular eyes happened to evolve to catch. Above that band lies ultraviolet, invisible to you. Below it lies infrared, invisible to you. Radio waves, microwaves, X-rays, gamma rays, invisible, invisible, invisible. For every photon you can see, the universe is broadcasting 1,000 more that pass straight through your awareness as if you were not here. But some animals tune their dial differently. A honeybee lands on a sunflower. To you, the flower is a uniform disk of yellow. To her, it is something else entirely. Painted across its petals in ultraviolet pigment is a pattern of concentric rings, a glowing bullseye that points directly to the nectar at its center. Botanists call these patterns nectar guides. The flower did not evolve them for our eyes, it evolved them for hers. Every meadow you have ever walked through is, to the insects that pollinate it, lit up like a runway. The yellow you see is a cover. The real book is open only to her. And it is not just the bees. In the high Arctic, a reindeer is searching for lichen. The lichen she favors, Cladonia rangiferina, grows in patches that, to a human eye, blend almost perfectly into the snow. But the reindeer's eye is not a human eye. In winter, the reflective layer behind her retina shifts in color, from gold to deep blue, and her pupil widens to admit a flood of ultraviolet light. Snow reflects UV. Lichen absorbs it. So while a human stands in a featureless white field, the reindeer sees dark, unmistakable patches scattered across the landscape. A map of food, drawn in a light you cannot see. And one more thing. Wolf fur also absorbs ultraviolet. To a reindeer in winter, a predator does not blend into the snow. It stands out against it like ink on paper. The reindeer is not seeing more of the world. She is seeing the part of the world that matters to a reindeer. This is the first lesson. And then there are the birds. A European robin, no heavier than a slice of bread, takes off in autumn from a forest in Scandinavia and flies south. She has never made this journey before. She has no map. She has no parent to follow. And yet, somewhere in the back of her right eye, in proteins called cryptochromes, quantum-level reactions are responding to the Earth's magnetic field. The leading theory among biologists is that she may literally see the magnetic field as a faint pattern overlaid on her visual world, a smear of light that tilts and brightens as she turns her head. She is, in effect, looking at a compass that hovers in the air in front of her. Imagine that for a moment. Not knowing where you are going, and then turning your head and seeing the direction. That is what it is to be a robin. We have been talking about light, but sight, in the end, is only one way to build a picture of the world. There are creatures alive on this planet who have abandoned light altogether and replaced it with something else. A great white shark sweeps her snout across the seabed. There is no prey in view. The water is dark. The sand is featureless. And yet, she turns, precisely, toward a single buried flounder lying motionless 6 inches below the surface. She is not smelling it. She is not seeing it. She is reading its electricity. Embedded in the skin of her head are hundreds of jelly-filled pores, ampullae of Lorenzini, named for the 17th century anatomist who first described them. Each pore is connected to a nerve. Together, they form a field of receptors so sensitive that a shark can detect an electrical signal of around 5 billionths of a volt per centimeter, the bioelectric flicker of a single living muscle. The flounder is hiding from sight. She cannot hide from her heartbeat. The shark does not chase her prey. She listens for the proof that it is alive. Now consider the snake, a pit viper coiled in the desert in the absolute dark of a moonless night. A mouse passes 2 meters away. The snake strikes. The strike lands. Between her eye and her nostril, on each side of her head, is a small recessed organ, the L'Oreal pit. Inside that pit is a paper-thin membrane studded with heat-sensitive ion channels, among the most sensitive heat detectors yet found in any vertebrate. She is not seeing the mouse with her eyes. She is seeing it with its body heat. And in her brain, that thermal image is fused with her ordinary vision into a single, layered picture of the world. A portrait in which warm things glow. The mouse is not hidden by the dark. To the snake, the mouse is the dark. And then there is the bat. She wakes at dusk in the rafters of a barn. She launches herself into open air, and within seconds, she is weaving through a forest, catching insects at speed, in conditions where you would walk into a wall. She is shouting. 10, 20, sometimes 200 times a second, she is emitting brief, high-frequency cries, far above the range of human hearing, and listening, with extraordinary precision, for the echoes that come back. From those echoes, her brain reconstructs the size, the texture, the distance, the trajectory of every object around her. She is, in effect, painting the night with sound. A philosopher named Thomas Nagel once asked a famous question. "What is it like," he wrote, "to be a bat?" Not what does a bat do, not what does a bat eat, but what does the world feel like to a creature that builds its reality out of returning echoes? His answer was unsettling. He suggested that we could not, in principle, ever fully know. We could measure every neuron in her brain. We could chart every cry and every echo. And still, the thing it is to be her, the felt texture of her world from the inside, would remain forever out of reach. The bat is hanging in the rafters 2 meters above you, and she is more foreign than another galaxy. There is a small creature, blind for almost all practical purposes, that lives in the wet marshes of eastern North America. She is called the star-nosed mole. Her face is encircled by 22 pink, fleshy rays arranged in a star, and across the surface of that star are more than 25,000 microscopic sensors. 5 times more touch receptors than the entire human hand. She does not see her world. She feels it. She presses her star against the Earth 10, 12, 13 times every second. And from each touch, she builds, in less than the blink of an eye, a complete picture of what she has found. She can identify a worm, capture it, and swallow it in 120 milliseconds. By every measure we have, she is feeling the world faster than you have ever seen it. And then, at the strangest end of the spectrum, there is the box jellyfish. She drifts through a mangrove forest off the coast of the Caribbean. She has 24 eyes arranged in clusters of 6 around her body. Some are simple. Some are complex, with lenses and corneas and retinas, very much like your own. But the box jellyfish has no brain. Just a ring of nerves around her bell, perhaps 1,000 neurons at each cluster of eyes. And yet, with no central mind to consult, she navigates. The eyes on top of her body are weighted by tiny crystals, so that no matter how she tumbles, they always point upward. Always watching for the silhouette of the mangrove canopy, so she knows to stay near shore. A creature with no brain and 24 eyes. Sight, it turns out, does not require a mind, but it always requires a world to be looked at.
Now consider the eyes themselves. Across the 4 billion years that life has existed on this planet, eyes have been invented independently dozens of times. By worms, by scallops, by snails, by cephalopods, by vertebrates like us. Each lineage took the same problem: catch a photon, extract information, and arrived at a different answer. Some of those answers are stranger than fiction. The mantis shrimp. She lives on the floor of a tropical reef. She is the size of a finger, and her eyes, long, stalked, swiveling independently, contain 12 different types of color photoreceptors. A human has 3, a bird has 4, the mantis shrimp has 12. For decades, biologists assumed the conclusion was obvious. 12 photoreceptors must mean a riot of colors beyond anything we could imagine. Internet articles repeated the claim. The mantis shrimp became the patron saint of impossible vision. And then, in 2014, an experimenter named Hanne Thoen and her colleagues finally ran the test. They trained mantis shrimps to associate certain colors with food. They presented 2 colors close together on the spectrum, say an orange and a slightly redder orange, and asked simply, "Can you tell these apart?" The answer was no. The mantis shrimp, with its 12 photoreceptors, was worse at fine color discrimination than a human with 3. Worse than a butterfly. Worse than a goldfish. But the story is not that her vision is poor. The story is that her vision is different. Where your brain compares signals between cones to compute a color, hers does not. Each receptor reports its own narrow band. She scans the world rapidly, sweeping her eyes across a scene, and recognizes a color the way you might recognize a familiar face, all at once, without breaking it apart. She does not see more colors than you. She sees faster. And on a reef, where prey appears and disappears in a fraction of a second, fast may be everything. A male jumping spider, no longer than a grain of rice, raises his front legs in the air. He is performing. In front of him is a female, and on his face, painted in iridescent reds and oranges,
is a courtship he has rehearsed all summer. Most spiders have terrible eyesight. The jumping spider does not. She has 8 eyes. 2 of them, mounted on the front of her face, are unlike anything else in the animal kingdom. Behind each lens is a long telephoto tube, ending in a retina so dense that, for an animal her size, she has the sharpest vision of almost any creature on Earth. And she sees in color. Researchers at the University of Cincinnati discovered only a few years ago that one family of jumping spiders, the Habronattus, wears a tiny ruby-red filter built directly into the eye. A pair of biological sunglasses layered between the cells that splits green light into reds and oranges. The male, raising his legs, knows exactly what he is doing. And on a hillside no human will ever fully understand, 2 minutes of silent ballet decide the future of his lineage.
A praying mantis turns her head. She is, as far as anyone has found, the only insect on Earth that sees in 3 dimensions. In 2018, a team at Newcastle University in England did something that sounds like a joke, but is not. They built tiny pairs of insect-sized 3D glasses, glued them gently onto mantises with beeswax, and sat the mantises down to watch movies. Virtual flies hovering in stereoscopic depth in front of their eyes. The mantises struck precisely at empty air where the virtual prey appeared to be. But here is what makes the mantis stranger still. Her form of stereo vision does not work the way yours does. It does not compare static images between the 2 eyes. It compares movement. Anything that changes between her left and right view, she can fuse, even when the 2 images bear almost no resemblance to each other. She is doing something your brain physically cannot do, in a head smaller than your fingernail. And then there is the octopus. She is, by every test we have ever run, colorblind. Her retina contains only one type of photoreceptor. She should see the world in black and white. And yet, she camouflages in perfect color against backgrounds she has never been trained on. She signals to other octopuses in ripples of red, brown, and white. She lives beyond any reasonable doubt in a world of color. How? The leading hypothesis, proposed in 2016 by a father and son team, an astrophysicist and a marine biologist named Stubbs and Stubbs, is that the octopus exploits a flaw. Lenses bend different colors of light by different amounts. The octopus has a wide, U-shaped pupil, which makes that distortion worse. By adjusting the focus of her eye and watching which color comes into clarity, she may be inferring color from the way light is going out of focus. She has turned a bug into a feature. She is reading the rainbow in the blur. And high above all of this, circling in the thermals at 300 meters, is an eagle. Her retina, square millimeter for square millimeter, packs roughly 5 times as many photoreceptors as yours. She has not 1, but 2 foveae in each eye, a deep one for telescopic distance, and a shallow one for close objects. Her visual acuity is, conservatively, twice as sharp as a hawk-eyed human's. She can spot a rabbit from a mile away. Her photoreceptors are shielded by microscopic droplets of colored oil that act like specialized internal filters, cutting through atmospheric haze and blinding glare, cranking the contrast of the landscape to an impossible degree.
To the rabbit, the brush is a safe camouflage of matching browns. To the eagle, the world is a hyper-vivid canvas, where the slightest movement cuts through the background like a flare. A little over 100 years ago, in 1909, a Baltic German biologist named Jakob von Uexküll proposed a word. The word was Umwelt. Roughly, it means environment. But Uexküll meant something more precise than that. He meant the part of an environment that an animal can actually sense and experience. The world as it appears to that one body, that one nervous system, that one set of receptors. His most famous image was a soap bubble. Imagine, he said, that around every living creature there is a transparent bubble, and inside that bubble is the world as that creature knows it. The bubble of a tick contains only three things: the smell of butyric acid, the warmth of a passing mammal, the touch of a hair. That is her entire universe. A tick can wait patiently on the tip of a blade of grass for years, for those three signals, in sequence, to arrive. The bubble of an eagle contains a continent of color and ultraviolet detail. The bubble of a bat contains the texture of sound. The bubble of a shark contains the electric flicker of every living thing within reach. And the bubble of a human, yours, contains a slice of light, a band of sound, a few familiar smells, and a quiet, persistent feeling that this is the world. The whole world. The only world there is. It is not. It never was. A few years ago, the science writer Ed Yong wrote a book about this. He called it An Immense World. He opened it with a simple image, a single room containing a person, a snake, a bat, a mouse, a robin, a bee, and a spider. Each one of them in the same room. None of them in the same world. That is the strangest fact about being alive. Reality has no single appearance. And in April of 2024, at a conference at New York University, a group of 40 scientists and philosophers signed a short document called the New York Declaration on Animal Consciousness. It said something quietly radical. It said that, on the basis of the current evidence, there is at least a realistic possibility of conscious experience in every vertebrate alive, and in many invertebrates as well. Cephalopods, crustaceans, insects. Translated out of the careful language of a declaration, what it meant was this: the bat in the rafters, the shrimp on the reef, the octopus in her den, the spider on her web. There may very well be something it is like to be each of them. 115 years after Uexküll, a half-century after Nagel, the consensus has finally caught up to the question. There are minds all around you that are not your mind. There are worlds all around you that are not your world.
You have not been seeing reality. You have been seeing the human edit of it. A careful, beautiful, partial translation produced by a particular animal with a particular set of eyes. And every other creature alive is reading from a different page of the same book. A book whose true length we have only begun to suspect. The next time you walk through a meadow, remember the bee. The next time you stand by the shore, remember the shark. The next time you sit in the dark and listen to the night, remember the bat painting the air with her voice, the mole reading the earth with her star, the mantis shrimp sweeping her eyes across a reef, the octopus
reading the rainbow in the blur. Remember the robin, turning her head and seeing the way home. This is Cosmic Canvas, where we step outside the human edit of the world. Until next time, remember that you have not been seeing reality. You have been seeing the human edit of it. And the immense world is still waiting, patient as a flower with invisible runways, for you to notice.